Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So this is the video that I'm sure a lot of you are kind of waiting for, and that video is why am I selling the STI? How did I come to this decision? This may come out a little bit of a surprise to some of you, but at the same time, if you have been following me, you guys know this is not a surprise at all. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions, a lot of you may not understand it. So I figured I would take the time, make a video explaining everything as to why this is coming about and why the STI is going to be sold. So I'm hoping this video gives you a little bit more understanding to everything. It may not make a lot of sense to you right now. I know a lot of you may be a little upset or kind of disappointed in everything, but I assure you that it's for the right reasons and that I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't worthwhile. And I promise you, it is going to be worthwhile, and all I have to say to it is trust the process. All right, guys, so we are in the garage. Obviously, STI is behind me, as you can see, looking pretty stock. Obviously, it's still got the Volks on and a few other things. But what I want to do in this video is actually give you some context, explain a little bit, have you guys understand actually where I'm coming from. Because a lot of people come into this channel, see the car, maybe you're watching for the first time or you've only been watching for a week, a month, what have you. So being able to give you some context and take the time to explain to you as to why this is being sold. I figured it was only right to let you guys know. I'm not somebody that likes to hide stuff. I'm not somebody that likes to do big surprises or do anything behind people's back. I know every one of you pretty much follows me for the STI. That's why you're subscribed to me. That's why you have been watching or are watching right now. So I totally get it. I totally understand why this may be upsetting to you, maybe disappointing, but this video is going to go into detail explaining as to why this is happening and allow you to make a little bit better understanding that, materialistic things aren't life. So let's get into it. Let me start explaining and give you a little context. I want to kind of start from the beginning, explain how I landed up on an STI. Why do I have one? So I kind of want to take this all the way back into 2014. My wife and I were just starting a family. We're about to have our first kid. I had my WRX hatchback at the time, and I've been in the car scene for a while now, and I knew how focused and OCD and crazy I was with cars. So I wanted to take a little bit of a break with cars, adjusting to this new lifestyle with a child and just, getting my feet back on the ground. I didn't want to be focused on a car, on a materialistic thing. I wanted to focus on my family, this new child and everything. So I really wanted to change my mindset, get out of the car world for a little bit. So my solution was to pick up something simple. I picked up a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It was something that I didn't have to worry about. I wasn't tempted to modify or do anything to. It was just a really simple, nice SUV. And I spent 2 years in that. 2 years go by and I was ready to get back into something fun. Me realizing that I can't do the basic normal car thing, I knew I needed to get back into something fun, something that I can enjoy. We were going on to our second kid at the time, and so I started looking into fun cars again. My requirements were a 4 doors, all-wheel drive, something that I can haul the family in, manual, something relatively cheap and easy to maintain and modify, and also something that was going to keep my interest for at least 5 years. Why 5 years? My going rate before this car, I sold cars or I held on to cars for 2 to 3 years. That was my going rate, which was pretty quick. Being a car enthusiast, you always want something more. You always want the next thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm done training and swapping cars so often. I want to have something that's going to keep my interest, allow me to have some fun, and I'm not going to really think about anything else but that car. It ended up the STI checking all the boxes for me. So on March 4th, 2017, I picked up this car, which is a 2017 base STI. It is in Lapis Blue Pearl. I picked it up from my dealer, brand new, and I've been enjoying it ever since. First year or two, it was my daily driver, so I used it year round in all types of weather. So as I progressed in life, I was very fortunate enough that I didn't need to drive the STI every day. I had something else to be able to kind of split my time between this and something else. So this started staying in the garage a little bit more. I started to modify a little bit more. And then about 2 or 3 years into my ownership, I started making videos. I started realizing that the installs that I was doing on this car, there wasn't many videos on it. And if there was, they were very short, very non-detailed videos. They didn't explain anything. They were like, hey, here's the modification, here it is done. Okay, it's a great product. For me, I like detail. I like somebody to explain something, show me every single little step. So that's what I decided to do. I was like, you know what? I want to help people. I want to steer them in the right direction. And I want to offer my insight as to how I would modify this car. You guys know me back in the forum days. It's exactly the same thing that I used to do on forums. I used to do long journal entries, basically explaining everything that I did, how to install it with pictures, and overall my review. So basically I just took the format style and turned it into video format. So I'm doing the exact same thing that I've been doing since literally 2009. So it's not new to me. This is just a different format, and I figured it was best to kind of do it this way. I enjoyed making content. I enjoyed sharing my experience, my ownership, and then, you know, here we are today. You know, I've been doing these videos with this car for nearly 3 years now, and it has been an absolute joy. I've absolutely loved this car immensely. It has meant a lot. It's changed my life in a way, and I really am proud of what we built here on the channel from this car. In November of 2021, so literally a year ago, I picked up a daily driver, something that I can use for family hauling, something that I can use for every single day, something that I didn't have to worry about the weather, that kind of thing. I know the STI is a fantastic all-weather car, but it got to the point where I was modifying it so much that I was more fearful of somebody else ruining it for me than me ruining it for myself. So I picked up an F-150, modified it, and made it my ultimate truck, ultimate daily driver that I had this vision of, and I've been driving it ever since. And the reason why I am mentioning this truck is because it played a really big role as to my next plan. And what I mean by that is I started enjoying the truck more than I ever thought I would. I started modifying it. I started doing things to it. I had just as much joy modifying it, caring for it, washing it, driving it, as I did the STI. I realized that I could have fun, and I enjoyed something totally different than the STI. You know, it's always scary kind of getting into a new chassis, and, you know, you're always going to compare it and everything, but I realized that I can have fun with something else. And the truck is on the complete other end of the spectrum. It's totally different. I mean, an STI and an F-150, two different things, apples to oranges. So that really opened up my mind and made me realize that, maybe I can enjoy a different type of car. Maybe there's something else out there that I would enjoy building, something else that I can have fun with. And ever since then, it's kind of been on my mind. So at the end of 2021, I was like, I'm gonna list this car up for sale, see what happens, and then we'll go from there. And that is what I did. December 31st, 2021, I listed this car up for sale. And I actually ended up getting a deposit on it. If you guys know, if you've been following me, you guys know that that happened early this year. Unfortunately, and at the same time, fortunately, it fell through. So after that happened, I told myself, I'm going to hang on to this car for one more year. I'm going to do everything else that I possibly wanted to do to this car. And then at the end of 2022, I'm going to make a decision on what I wanted to do next. Coming up to the end of 2022, we've done so much more to this car over the past year. We did the turbo, we did the external wastegate, I got a matching Recaro seat, we did my dream Volk wheels that we got right here, plus a million other things that you guys saw me do. So I've done a ton of stuff to this car over the last year. And I'm extremely happy that I got a chance to hang on to it for another year. That I had the chance and opportunity to create it even better, to make it even better than I ever thought. I got to the point with this car that no, I didn't fall out of love with it. No, I didn't stop enjoying it. No, there was no financial hardships or anything. Nothing like that. It has nothing to do with me not liking the car anymore or anything like that. It's really simple. I got to the point with this car where I didn't want to touch it anymore. It was perfect. There was nothing more that I honestly wanted to do to it. Yes, little small details here and there, but I reached the point on this build with this car that I've never reached with any other car. And what I mean by that is I felt completed. I felt like I checked a huge box off of my list. You know, I said, there's nothing more I want to do to this. I enjoyed it immensely, and modifying a car is a huge part of my ownership. It's a huge part of why I enjoy cars. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I was like, oh, there's nothing else to do. I'm tired of it. I don't want it anymore. Nothing like that. I just got to the point where it was just, I felt a sense of completion. I've never, like I said, I've never felt like that with any other vehicle or car that I've owned. Anytime I sold a previous car, I always felt like there was more to do. I had some seller's remorse at certain points. You know, there's still cars that I think about like, oh, I wish I hung on to that a little bit longer. My WRX, for example, I had that for 2 years. I wish I hung on to that for another year or two at least. But either way, I've reached completion with this car. I've enjoyed it, honestly, to the fullest extent. You know, building the motor obviously was the next big thing that a lot of you guys wanted me to do. But the way that I wanted to do it, it just didn't make sense. You know, I was at that point with this car where I was ready to go on to something else, and I wasn't comfortable, putting that much X amount of money or more money into it than I already have. I'm a huge advocate of, not pushing a vehicle, just making it better from what it already is. And I feel like I really achieved that with this car. So the past year or two, I probably put on less than 2,000 miles on this car. Maybe around 1,500, if that. So honestly, I started thinking, okay, I have a car here, I have a truck. They both kind of serve the same purpose. Granted, this car is obviously a little bit more crazy, a little bit more than the truck. But at the same time, it's a very practical car. I can still use this as a daily driver if I wanted to. So I started thinking, I got a really nice daily drivable STI, 4 doors kind of car, all-wheel drive, something I can use year round. And I also have a truck that I can use year round. That's 4 doors. That serves kind of the same purpose. So having the truck and having something so versatile and capable, I can haul my kids around, I can do home projects, I can do whatever I need to do. It's a very, very practical car to have in my life at this time. I started realizing that having a 4-door, very practical car doesn't make sense as a fun car. Yes, I know the STI is a fantastic weekend car the way it was, but it just didn't make sense. And then I started realizing, okay, I have this really practical truck that I can use every single day, drive through, feet of snow. I can haul whatever I want to haul in it. I can start looking at other things that I've never even thought of, that I never had an opportunity to even look at. I've mentioned this before. I'm a dad. I have 3 kids. That's what the truck's for. That's what over here, the Telluride's for. We have 2 family haulers. I can get something that is unbelievably impractical for my type of lifestyle right now. I don't need the 4 doors. I don't need 4 seats. I don't need all-wheel drive. That opened a huge door for me into, wow, I can start looking at rear-wheel drive cars. I can start looking at, 2-seaters. I can start looking at coupes, 2 doors. And that opened a whole door of other cars that I never even thought of was a possibility. And that just made more sense to me. That made more sense to have something like the truck that's so versatile and have something that's just completely on the other end. That's just totally different. Something that I never would have been able to do. I'm very, very fortunate and very grateful that I have the truck and that I have something else to drive. And I never in a million years thought I would be in a position to have that. My mindset was always get something that's super practical. Get something that's 4 doors that can just, it's very capable for everybody. I want to be accommodating. So I never really had that mindset of getting something completely different. Something that's not practical. Something that's not accommodating. My wife probably hasn't been in this car in a couple of years. And that's not because she doesn't want to. It's not because, I don't want her or anything like that. We just don't have the time. We don't have, the free time to just go for a ride together in it. And 3 of my kids can't fit across in the back seat of this car. So having something so practical as the fun car just doesn't make as much sense as it used to. Opening that door to get a coupe, to get a 2-seater, which it blows my mind that I can even think of that. And also rear-wheel drive. I love rear-wheel drive. I'm sure a lot of you love it as well. It's a fantastic drivetrain and platform to drive. I love all-wheel drive as well, don't get me wrong. But being in the position that I am and having something else to drive, it allows me to open up the doors and look at other cars that I never thought were a possibility. So there's one quote that I always think about pretty much every day of my life. And that quote is, you cannot progress without sacrifice. I know it's very cliche. I know I'm not a big book reader or anything like that, but it's a quote that has stuck with me for a very long time. And the reason why I'm mentioning that quote is because of that reason alone. I cannot progress, I cannot move forward to take that next huge opportunity, that next step in my car journey without the sacrifice. And the STI being the sacrifice. I know that may not make sense to a lot of you. I know a lot of people are like, why would you sell such a perfect car? I get it. I totally understand. I get it. I understand why people may be confused, upset, disappointed, whatever it may be. I get it. But at the same time, this is my life. This car has been a big part of my life. But I wouldn't be able to take that next step if it wasn't for this car. I wouldn't be able to build the next car and have this vision if it wasn't for this car. Heck, I wouldn't be able to do this, what I'm doing right now, and move to that next step if it wasn't for this channel. And I'm extremely thankful and very, very grateful that I have this opportunity, that I have this stage, if that's what you want to call it. And I guarantee you, anybody in my position would do the exact same thing. If they had an opportunity to go out and reach for something and get something that you honestly never thought you would be able to obtain, I think you would take it too. There's one thing that I told myself when I got this car, and that's I would never sell it unless it was for something worthwhile. I wouldn't sell it for a lateral move. I wouldn't sell it for a mediocre next step. I would only let it go if it was for something that I truly believed was worth letting this beautiful and perfect STI go. Now, it has nothing to do with content or me being able to make videos for you guys. Honestly, it has nothing to do with it, because like I said, I say this all the time in my videos, I'd be doing this exact same thing in this garage by myself if there wasn't a camera here. I would be probably talking to myself the same way as well. All I'm doing is just documenting and showing you guys the journey, showing you how I build cars, kind of letting you guys into my mind, opening up my book and showing you guys. That's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with YouTube, it has nothing to do with what's popular or the algorithm or anything like that. It's simply just my life. It's simply me being an avid car enthusiast and wanting to experience as much as I possibly can on this short life that we have. It's so easy to get caught up and listen to what other people are saying and telling you to do, especially here. The way I think of YouTube is really, really different than most people. I'm sure a lot of you do have a job and you listen to one or two people, your boss or your manager or something like that. With YouTube, I am my own boss. I can do whatever I want here. But I have 20,000 plus managers telling me what to do. So you can only imagine how many voices I hear, how many people are telling me to do this, to do that. It gets crazy. But thankfully, me being in the position that I am and being a little bit older than most YouTubers, I drown that stuff out. I just focus on me. I focus on what I want to do in life. And all I'm doing is just taking you guys along for the journey. Showing you guys what I'm doing here in this garage, what kind of cars that I'm building, what kind of modifications that I'm doing. I'm just showing you guys. I enjoy the sharing aspect of it. I'm a dad. I have 3 kids. I'm married. I have a lot going on in life other than cars, believe it or not. And, I don't get to get out as much. I don't get to go to car shows. I don't get to do all those things that I did when I was in my early 20s. It just, I don't get that free time. And I'm not complaining whatsoever. I love my life. I have a fantastic life. I have no complaints whatsoever. But in order for me to get out of my own head, in order for me to kind of just talk cars without being around people, this is what I do. This is my therapy. This is what I enjoy. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. I know a lot of you that do watch my videos are fathers, are mothers, are parents. It's just, you just don't have that free time. So in order for me to get out of my own head and kind of have fun with cars with other people, this is what I do. I sit in the garage, I modify my car, and I talk to you guys. And I know this is getting wordy. I know I'm explaining a lot, but it's only right for me to kind of go into depth about this and explain, because I know how invested you are into this car. I totally get it. There's channels that I've watched over the years that had a certain car that I was very interested in. And then they ended up not having it on the channel anymore, or they ended up selling it, and then I lost interest. I get it. I totally get it. I don't need a dissertation or you guys explaining as to why you're unsubscribing or why you're not following me anymore. If you don't want to follow me, that's fine. If you want to continue to follow my journey and see what I do with the next build, or just kind of interested in my life in general, that's fine too. I love the channel that we created, but if you want to go along and go do something else, that's fine. You guys don't need to explain to me why you're unsubscribing or why you're moving on or why you think this is a bad decision. Ultimately, again, this is my life. This is my choice. And I'm taking you guys along. If you want to watch, that's fantastic. If you don't want to watch, there's literally a million other channels that you can go ahead, find whatever you want, and watch that. But if you guys enjoy my mindset, how I modify cars, what am I doing here? I know it's very, very amateur. I know it's very kind of personal. I know there's not a lot of cinematic videography or anything like that. I get it. I know my videos aren't going to win an award or think they're the best thing ever. But what I am taking from this is I'm learning. I am progressing in life. I am, if you look back on one of my first videos to where it is now, although it's not fantastic now, it has taken leaps and bounds from what it used to be. And the only way to do that is experience. The only way to progress in life is experience. The only way to make things better is to move forward, is to make those sacrifices, is to, take that leap that you are afraid to do or you're anxious about. That's what you need to do. I'm not some crazy YouTuber. I'm not some crazy person that can just go and buy 1 million cars a month and modify them and haul them into a giant warehouse. That's not who I am. I am just a normal dude, just like you, modifying their car in the garage, having fun with it, and I'm just simply making videos. I don't think I'm anybody special. I don't think I deserve any type of special treatment, anything like that. I'm just a normal dude making videos on YouTube, documenting my car ownership, and taking you guys along with me. I know that was long-winded. I know I explained a lot. I know there's a lot of things that I said in here that younger people that are watching this don't understand or don't care about. I get it. I totally get it, totally understand that. The only thing I want to get out of this video is for you guys just to trust me, just to understand my crazy thought process here and what I plan on doing. Because without sacrifice, there's no progress. And in order for me to take that next huge jump in my car journey, a sacrifice needs to be made. And all the experience that I've learned from this car, past cars, it's just going to get better. I've learned a lot from this car. I have a solid vision and mindset for the next build. And it's going to be better than this one. There is no question about it. I'm older. I have more experience under my belt. I know what I want. I have a very, very vivid vision of where I want to be. And I'm going to document it the same exact way that I did this car. And I know a lot of you are going to ask, what car? When is it coming? And for that, I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't know if it's going to be next week, next month, next year. I don't know. I'm very, very anxious though. I'm very, very excited to take that next step. So it may come sooner than I am possibly thinking. But in order to take that next step, in order to make my vision a reality, I need to make some moves. I need to seize that opportunity and move. It hurt a little bit taking off the first couple mods, but after I got a couple off and I started kind of going through the motions of it all, it felt good. It felt like the right decision. It may not make sense to you right now, as I say, but I promise you it'll make sense. Just trust the process, but in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.